Hello, everyone. I am Matthew John. I am a spiritual teacher, spiritual mentor, international speaker, Starseed guide, intuitive healer, and quantum energy healer working directly with the Ascended Masters. I'm a gifted intuitive, wisdom channeler, and transmitter of healing frequencies. I've been on an over decade-long awakening journey. My powerful and effective teachings and healings are a product of many intense awakening experiences, deeply human ordeals, and tens of thousands of hours of study. I receive clear guidance from my guides, which I share with my followers and clients from around the world. I specialize in helping others to heal their childhood and past life traumas, reading people's life plans from a soul perspective, as well as serving as a mentor for Starseeds and those who are looking to accelerate their spiritual development. And I am here to give you my 2020 preview. And 2020 is such an exciting year to look forward to. I mean, anytime we have the beginning of a new decade, that's pretty cool, right? And that's what we're looking at here. A fresh start. I'm going to look at 2020 from a couple different perspectives, and I'm going to bring in a little wisdom from numerology and also from astrology. And I'm going to be giving you what I've received from my guides and my consciousness as far as what we really need to focus on. I'm not going to focus so much on what to expect in 2020 as far as what might happen in the outside world, because I do believe that that's a lot of conjecture. You know, the future is never really written in stone. We're creating the future as we act in the present moment, and that's the truth of it. So I'm going to focus more on how we can best utilize 2020 individually, and I'll touch on a little bit how we can best utilize 2020 as a collective, as an ascending collective. So in numerology, if you add up the digits of 2020, 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 0 equals 4, of course. So we have a 4 year, and a 4, if you think about 4, what has 4 legs? A chair, right? And you can sit on a chair because there's a solid foundation, right? A building has 4 corners, generally, unless you have a triangle-shaped building, right? A building generally has 4 corners. Your home has 4 corners. The 4 corners creates a foundation, a structure for the home to stand on. Your dog and your cat have 4 legs. If they had 3 legs, and I know some dogs and cats do have 3 legs due to an accident or a genetic defect, and it can make it a lot more difficult to feel stable on their feet without those 4 legs. So having 4 legs gives you a really stable foundation, doesn't it? 4 is the number of foundation. 4 is the number of stability. In this 4 year, we want to focus on building healthy foundations and structures for our life and also as a collective. So in our individual lives, the question you should be asking is, how do I create the structure for the rest of the decade that I want to live, the rest of the decade that I want to see manifest in my life? How do I create the structure for that in 2020? Think about that. What is it that you've been dreaming of in 2019, 2018, 2017? 2020 may be the time where you put yourself in a position to actually live that out. Now, not everyone will probably find themselves literally in the physical manifestation of what they're really desiring for the 2020s in 2020. Some may need until 2021. But you want to, at the very least, be energetically creating the structures of what you do desire for the rest of 2020. And to put this more practically, I do like to try to ground everything and make everything functional. That is one of my gifts, is bridging spiritual knowledge into the functional world. Is, okay, thinking about my relationship, right? If you're in a partnership, if you're in a relationship, does this feel like this is going to last another 10 years? And if it's a beautiful, harmonious relationship, it should be an easy yes. Or it should be at least a feeling of like, I think so. I mean, this is seems to be pretty supportive for both of us. But if it's not an easy yes or an easy, yeah, I think so, then it may be a no. It may be, no, I don't think this is going to last. I think that we're going in separate directions here. I think we're going in separate directions. So many people I've worked with, especially in 2019. 2019, I have seen more decouplings in 2019 than I've ever seen in any other year when I've been working directly with clients. And a lot of couples, the people I work with, they know they're going in separate directions, and they know that, all right, maybe there's some logistical things that need to be worked out, and then next year, 2020, that's it. And I feel that that's going to continue into 2020 because if we want to build the foundation for the roaring 20s in our own personal lives, and it's not just us, your soul wants to build that foundation for you. Your soul wants you to push you forward to what is the next stage in your life plan. And the life plan is created out of the life plan is interesting because it's not as simple from what I've found as, 2019 this happens, 2020 this happens, 2021 this happens, 2020. It's not that simple because there is the mediating factor of free will. And you may have many different plans that could manifest. So the life plan is very malleable. The life plan is very flexible, but if you start to stray too much away from that highest path that your soul had intended for you, you may find outside factors pushing you back to get closer to that highest possible path. And these can be things like a dark night of the soul. These can be things like an illness. And then if you look at it from a higher perspective, okay, that was meant to be because that was part of one possible life plan. One possible path in your life plan, if you go on a juncture of your life plan where there is a dark night or some sort of accident or illness or some sort of financial difficulty or who knows, there's a number of different things, or even just a bout of depression. Sometimes when we're not we're straying a little bit, we're going to end up with just a bout of depression or just feeling really unfulfilled and lacking, right? And then that will be the catalyst to help push us back towards that higher path, that higher life plan, where we are going to see the things we dream of manifest much more quickly. So what I'm trying to say is that it really is up to you, regardless of what is in your life plan, which is very important to understand because there may be things that are unavoidable because they're just meant for you. And there are relationships, there are certain things that may happen that are unavoidable because your soul put that in the life plan for you to grow from it. However, when you use your free will to align more quickly with your highest spiritual values, and this means mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, aligning yourself closer to your higher self, you then are able to open up a new door to a higher life plan, what I like to call the highest possible plan, the highest possible path. So when we use our free will to align more closely with our highest possible path, then all of a sudden that new road opens where we can more quickly get the jewels, so to speak. And the jewels might be the relationship you want. They might be the home you want. They might be the location you want, the career you want. It might be the body you want. It might be the just emotional health that you want, the emotional sense of well-being and contentment that you are striving for, that you're yearning for. We're all yearning for, right? So when we use our free will to align ourselves, then we get closer. So that's what we want to focus on for 2020, is using our free will to align ourselves with what we want to see manifest in our lives over the rest of the decade. So, however you dream about your 2020s coming about. So here's an exercise that you can do, is project in your mind, and you can do it right now too. Let's do this exercise right now for everyone. Take a nice deep breath. And take another nice deep breath. And what I want you to do is visualize a timeline in your life with a little arrow below this timeline, and you're going to be able to actually move this arrow. And right now I want you to set the arrow to 2019 or 20. If you're listening to this after the new year, set it to 2020. Okay? I want to be accurate here. And now what I want you to do, the intention here for this exercise is for you to be able to see, project forward, and see, create. So you're going to be creating this. So I don't want you to think that, Matthew, I can't see anything. No, you're creating this. So this is a little different than trying to see. This is creating. But we're just using the power of the subconscious to help you create what you really want. So I want you to take the little arrow below your timeline and fast forward it now 2021. Go down to the right of your timeline, 2022, 2023, 2024, 2025, 2026, 2027, 2028, and now 2029. And now I want you to imagine the life you want to live. Create it. You're creating it now. You're just creating it. What do you want? Imagine the home you want, where you want to be living, or what you want to be doing. Do you want to be traveling? The relationship you want, the family you want, the health you want, the finances you want, the career you want, and the emotional feeling you want. I'm going to shut up here for a minute and just let everyone take a deep breath and just visualize now. Set your timeline to 2029 and visualize everything you want in your life. I'll do it too. And I want everyone to wrap this image, this set of images that you've created about 2029, wrap it up in a bubble, okay? And I want you to place this bubble above your head, about 3 feet above your head. Now bring the bubble down through all of your chakras. See the bubble interacting with each of your chakras, the crown, the third eye, the throat chakra, the heart, the solar plexus, the sacral, and the root, and down through the black earth star chakra below your feet. And now I want you to plant this in the ground somewhere. If you have a yard, you can plant it here. If you have a favorite forest around you or a favorite nature scene, I want you to plant it there. Plant it as a seed. Plant this bubble as a seed now somewhere in the forest around you. Good. And so this vision will grow. You planted it using your intention. This vision will grow. And it will happen. This vision has already occurred. This life of you that you just imagined has already occurred, because whatever you can imagine is real. Because you've created in the astral plane. I mean, this is just the physics of life that we're talking about here. I don't know if physics is the right word. The science of life. Anything you create in the astral plane is real in a sense because it's been created. So you've already created it. Now it's about doing what you need to do to see it manifest in the physical dimension of life. So 2020 is about building the foundations for that life you imagined just now in 2029. Okay? It's about building the foundations. Oddly enough, I was just calculating in my mind here, 2029 is also a 4-year, which makes sense, right? Because we'll run through the one cycle of the numbers. And that'll be building the foundation for the 2030s. We'll kind of be entering a new stage of building. Another thing I want to alert everyone about the 2020s is this. We think about the science of ascension and the numerology of ascension. If we think about the 2000s, from 2000 to 2010, this was right after the kind of minor planetary awakening that was caused by the millennium, the dawning of the new millennium, which, you know, when the calendar turned from 1999 to 2000, there was the whole Y2K freak out weird thing, right? That transition did spark somewhat of a minor planetary awakening where people were like, oh, well, what is life? Like, oh my God, we're entering a new millennium. What is life? And people kind of paused for a moment and started to consider that. 2000 through 2010 were like the 0 years, right? The baby years, just kind of the void of building this new millennium in the age of Aquarius, which we hadn't officially entered, of course. We were just kind of on the outskirts of the photon belt, our solar system, not fully immersed yet. 2010 to 2020, we enter the photon belt, right? Of course, December 21st, 2012 being that big marker of entering into the photon belt, right? Entering into the age of Aquarius. So we start, that's when, for many people, the individual ascension journeys began, including myself. I would say my individual ascension journey really began in earnest in 2009, although I had awakening experiences before that. However, 2009, there was a big event in my life, a breakup or a decoupling, which really pushed me on the path of awakening, right? So, and there's a lot of people who around that time, entering into the 2010s, they really started waking up. There was many people who have been awake far before then. I've had clients who have been awake since the 80s or earlier, the 70s. Like, there's a lot of amazing old souls on the planet who have been awake a long time, right? Most of us are old souls, by the way. That's kind of a weird moniker. Most people who are waking up now are old souls that come from the stars. But 2010 to 2020 has been kind of the individual awakening journey for a lot of us. 2020 to 2029, now we're looking at the number 2. It's the third decade, but it's got the number 2 in it. 2021, 2022, 2023. So there's 2 2s in there, right? And the number 2 is, think about in the tarot, for example, the 2 of Cups, which is kind of a partnership card. So that's what this decade is about. And when I think about partnership, I think about twin flames. This is the decade of twin flames coming together on the planet. And I know a lot of twin flame couples are already there. And for those of you who are already in a twin flame partnership, that's freaking awesome. And I love you and I'm so proud of you. And keep up the great work and keep showing the way for people like me who aren't in a twin flame partnership yet to follow, please, because we need that. We need those conscious twin flame couples. So the 2020s are going to see in mass people coming together in twin flame union. Not necessarily this year, but over the next decade. So if we think about the decade of the 2030s, we're now focusing on the number 3. And 3, we think about family. We think about community, right? So 3 is, of course, a triangle. 3, 6, 9 is the basis of creation. So we're looking at the creation of new communities in the 2030s. And I know conscious communities have been happening for 50 years or longer. There's been conscious communities forever, even in the age of Pisces. But en masse, I do believe in the 2030s, and when we'll start to really see these new age communities en masse, even new age cities. And the 2040s, think about that number 4, may be when we start to really see the foundation, the structure of the entire planet finally shifting in earnest to a structure that supports abundance for all beings, respect for all beings, safety for all beings, peace for all beings. Personally, I know there's a lot of channelers out there who, and with all due respect to all channelers and all healers and teachers out there, everyone has a different perspective. What percentage of a channeling is accurate and what percentage is coming from the mind, no one can really know. But I know there's a lot of both teachers and channelers out there who do say that it'll all be done by the end of the 2020s, like we'll be living on the ascended earth. I could be wrong. But personally, I think it might take a little bit longer. I do think it might take a little bit longer. What I've always said is over the next 80 years, meaning by the end of this century, I think that's when we're seeing the entire new Earth. We're buzzing around in little spacecrafts or teleporting. There's many different types of galactics living amongst us in the open. Everyone on the planet has enough. There's no more reason for disease because we have these galactic technologies to instantly cure ailments. We're perhaps subsisting less off of solid food and more off of just prana. But I do think that the 2020s are about the twin flame unions happening. So if you've been desiring your twin flame, then it might happen. It'll probably happen in the 2020s. And if you're in a partnership with someone now and you don't intuitively feel like they're your twin flame and you feel like you are such a part of this path that you feel like you're meant to have a twin flame, then it may happen in the 2020s. And this year, for a lot of people, again, there could be a lot of decouplings with people feeling that call of their soul to be alone for a while. Could be for a few years of being alone before attracting in that true twin flame mate. That's going to be happening for a lot of people this year. A lot of people, I think, will change careers this year. A lot of people may relocate this year. Astrologically speaking, I do want to point out we have Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto all in Capricorn. If we look at the astrological transits for January 1st, in the morning of January 1st, 2020, 52% of the aspects of the chart are Earth aspects. 52%. That's a lot. And so I believe that really sets us up for the tone of this year, which is very Earth-oriented. This has to be a practical year, okay? We have to look at our lives practically during 2020 so we can build the structure for the rest of the decade. So you have to look at what's not working in your life. Is the relationship not working? Is your health not working? Are your finances not working? Is your career not working? You have to make the physical changes in 2020. So there's going to be a lot of that tough love, I think, this year for people where you can't just try to solve everything etherically anymore. You have to make changes. It's not enough anymore to listen to the shows on the internet and watch the YouTube videos and meditate. And that's all amazing stuff. And that all helps to get you in alignment energetically, just like I talked about at the beginning of this transmission, to open up your highest possible pathway. But at the same time, you have to make the necessary changes in the 3D. Yes, in the 3D, in the physical plane. So if that means moving, if that means restructuring your finances, if that means quitting your job and starting a new career because you feel like that's what you want to be doing in 2029 and you're going to do it this year. Decoupling. If it feels like maybe you dream of having a big family and you've already found your twin flame, maybe 2020 you create a child, right? And that child, that family structure helps to build the structure for the rest of your 2020s. Whatever it is, there needs to be action. There needs to be action this year in the physical earth plane, okay? And I think on a collective level, we may see a lot of, especially in the United States this year with the 2020 election, we're going to see a lot of talk about the future of our country and about the future of the planet. And it's amazing that so many, Marianne Williamson, who, has been in the Democratic debates, a new voice like that. It's never happened before. Never. Think about that. In the history of the United States, and someone tell me if I'm wrong, there's never been a major party candidate who has been discussing spiritual values openly. And that's incredible, It's showing where we're going. So I think there's going to be a lot of talk in the political arenas this year about the future of our planet, and people are going to continue to be demanding a more conscious country and a more conscious planet. So thanks everyone for listening. Again, to wrap this all up into a tight Christmas present if you're celebrating, or a nice Hanukkah gift. 2020 is about building the foundation and structures for who you want to become and the life you want to live in 2029. Think about that. All right? You get to create this decade. You get to choose which path you take. You get to choose whether you take the highest possible path or one of the lower paths. You get to choose. Do your spiritual work, but make the necessary changes in your life this year, 2020. Make the physical changes. Physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Work on your physical body. Work on your finances, okay? Work on your career. Set yourself up geographically where you want to be set up if you feel like you can make that move this year. And a lot of people might already be where you want to be, right? But make the necessary changes on the earth. It's a very earthy year, okay? 2020 is an earthy, grounded year where we're building the structures for the rest of the decade and beyond. Thank you, everyone, for listening and joining in. This has been Matthew John.